Hey everyone, today I wanted to talk about Asemic writing. We're going to go over how Asemic writing can level up your artwork and make it look really fresh and creative. Asemic writing is a great way to add another layer of emotion to your artwork. It's something fun that you can play with and it's easy to do. I love to add Asemic writing as well as stencils and paper and all sorts of things to my artwork, and that's what I'm going to show you how to do today. So I hope you join me in this demo and let's go over it together and have fun and create a fun piece that is stress-free and just let go and create from within. So I hope you join me. The last art journal session we had, I did a mixed media piece with some Asemic writing in it, and I love how it turned out so much that I'm going to show you tips and tricks on your art journal page and how it can add to the overall look and feel of your artwork. So I'm just flipping it over. I've got my pages prepped. And by prepped, I mean, so basically I use old cookbooks as my art journal, and I will glue a couple of pages together to make it sort of thicker and stronger. And then what I do is I add old bits of paper on top of it. This is an art piece that I did, like a sketch that I did, and I just tore it up and I added it on top and tore up some pages from an old ruined book, and I glued it on top of this page to prep my mixed media journal, simply because I don't want to start out looking at a blank page. I like to have something there and go from there. I don't know what it is about the Asemic writing, but I think it just gives off this old vintage vibe that I love. I'm just shaking up my paint and I'm going to add a few drops. I think I'm going to add them into the lid that I have, and we're going to get started. So this is Liquitex acrylic ink. I'm sure there's all sorts of acrylic inks out there. I've had this for years. I don't use it very often, but I'm going to use it today. Asemic writing is basically just the art of mark making, but the mark making looks like handwriting, except for, I like to say it's abstract handwriting. You know, it doesn't say anything. It just looks like handwriting. There's something special about it. To me, it looks sort of old and something, I don't know, I just really love the look of it. All I'm doing is taking my paintbrush and dipping it in the acrylic ink or ink if you have it. And again, I like to paint loosely, and I'm just sort of doing sort of squiggly lines, something like with loops, and trying to make it look like handwriting, except for that it's not. And sometimes like little dots, because it looks like you've, dotted something, maybe a T, right? But not a T. I love the way that looks. It just gives a great overall feeling. And if you don't like a blank page, this is a great way to get started with the painting. Now, if I get my paintbrush out, this is just a cheap old paintbrush. I could actually smudge some of it because, again, this is mixed media. And mixed media is made of lots of layers. And for me personally, it's messy and, there's lots of different, it's tactile. Like there's so many different things to touch and feel. It's not just creating something perfect. It's creating something that brings out emotion, and when you're doing it, you're practicing curiosity. What happens if I do this? And what happens if I do that? It's about curiosity, and that's what an art journal is for, so that's what we're doing. So this is just the first example of the Asemic writing, and I'm going to keep going. I think I'm going to get a darker color, and we're going to continue on. One thing to keep in mind is that you're writing in your mixed media art journal, whether it's actual handwriting or the Asemic writing, and because, like I said, it's a bunch of layers, it's just a way to get those creative juices flowing. This could be the bottom layer, and then you could paint right over it, or you could have the Asemic writing as that final touch to your painting like I did with the other one. For this in particular, this is just my first layer. This is just the first layer, so I don't mind sort of covering some of it up. Again, I'm going for like a distressed, grungy vibe. So I'm kind of, now that I put it on there, I'm just sort of smudging it a little bit. I'm going to let it dry, and then I think I'm going to add some more writing to it. For anyone who's interested, I set up a membership for my YouTube channel because I'm going to start doing some lives once a month. I really want to start going live, but I don't want to go live to just everyone on YouTube. So I'm going to be doing once a month painting sessions for the members of the YouTube channel. So if you want to join, I'll include a link below in the description of this video. Or you can just go to the main page of my YouTube channel and click join and see the 2 different levels of membership. One of the things I wanted to show you is what I mean. I like the really old, messy paintings that has a lot of texture to it. This painting has a lot of texture to it. And Asemic writing really would work well with this painting that I have. You can see I use stencils here, scratching tools, all sorts of things. I love this canvas painting. It is absolutely one of my favorites. And so now the next step for me is incorporating some writing and other strategies into creating art. So I'm going to continue on, but this is what I mean by, you know, textured, messy, old looking art that just, I don't know, it gives you some kind of feeling or emotion, and that's what I love about this. So the painting has dried. I use a hairdryer. That's what I use. I just use a hairdryer to dry the paint and get on to the next step. Now, the first step I used a paintbrush to create the writing. The second one is I'm taking an old paintbrush that I have and using the back part of it, almost like a stick, right? I'm going to use that bottom part. I'm dipping it into the paint. I'm dipping it into my golden fluid acrylics. I don't know if you could see that. And now I'm going to try a little bit more mark making. This is a little bit thicker, and I'm just going to try to do something smaller. And because it's almost like a stick, I have to sort of dip it in and play around. And this one is thicker, so I'm going to maybe make the mark making looking like handwriting a little bit smaller. It's almost like scratching away, you're scribbling. Isn't Asemic writing like a fancy word for scribbling? I would say it probably is. Okay, and I'm just going to squeeze a little bit more out there. Now, if you were using a stick, you really have to play around with it. This is all about letting go. Is this working out the way I want? No, I want, it's not, but you know what? I'm going to keep going. And now I'm going to get this paintbrush and I'm going to dip it in again with the lighter blue and see what happens. And just adding some mark making. You can almost do like Asemic writing going down. It doesn't have to be across. So that's what I'm going to do here. And I like the way that looks. To me, that looks really good. As I continue on with this mixed media piece that I really want to have a focus on the writing, I also want to use the stencil that I showed you that I had actually used in the painting that I showed you a few minutes ago. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use gold because I think gold would complement this beautiful blue color as well as this pages underneath to create sort of an old vibe, a vintagey vibe. So I'm dipping it into the gold and I am just using Liquitex Basics Gold. This is nice and thick for the stencil that I use all the time. You could tell, look how messy that is. I'm just going to tap it on there. I don't know if you guys can see very well. And I love the way that looks. I'm going to do one right here as well to bring those pages together. That's what I'm going to do. So I'm just getting more paint. I think I'm going to have to get more of this paint. Okay, so now I have some more of the paint. I love this look. I love this shape. And now I'm going to pull it off. And I might do another stencil. And I think I'll do an M and a K and an O. And I'm going to do another one right here I'll do an H. There's no rhyme or reason to this, but I'm just grabbing the paint. And as I run out of paint, it gets more faded. And so now I have a little paint left over. And I'm just gonna go in. I don't wanna waste my paint. And I'm gonna go in and sort of put it on there and see what happens. I want to add some more white to this, and then I'm going to add one more layer of writing. Again, one of the things I say is you cannot be overly committed to what you've done. You have to be brave enough and curious enough to make mistakes, because that's how you discover what you really love with your artwork, is if you're making mistakes. If you're not making mistakes, then how are you getting out of your comfort zone to discover new things? So I'm making my mistakes in front of everyone. And I encourage you to get in your studio or sit at your kitchen table or wherever it is you want to create art. And I encourage you to go in there, make a mess, and make mistakes and discover, oh, I really love this, or I really love that. So I'm going to let this dry, and then we're going to write on it with some Sharpie marker. I've got my Sharpie marker out, and I'm going to do a little more writing, Asemic writing, mark making, scribbling if you will, and we're going to see how that works on this. And I'm going to try to maybe make it a little bit smaller. And I'm just really not thinking at all, but I'm just trying to make it look like it's some kind of handwriting. And I think the more you practice, the more you'll find your own style. Make sure you use an old Sharpie marker. This is an old one that, you know, it's on its way out. I don't want to ruin a brand new Sharpie marker. I'm really having fun with this sort of abstract look, especially you can see there's something special about the Asemic writing that adds to the overall look of whether it's a completed painting or just an art journal page. My other page that I have that I said I was going to go over that I love so much is this one. And I love this so much that I said I was going to use this as a backdrop, but I love it so much I'm just leaving it because I just think I love all the colors and the way it looks. And I'm kind of feeling the same way about this one. I don't quite know if this one is completed or finished, a finished art piece, but I do know as a background, I love this. I'll see if I want to either keep it like this or add some more. I am going to let this dry before I move on to the next layer. And what I'm going to do is let it dry for a couple of days. The other reason I'm letting it dry is because sometimes you add so much to something that you're like, I don't know what I want to do next. And if you really don't know what you want to do next, then I highly recommend leaving it for a few days and coming back to it with fresh eyes to see if you want to do anything with it. You may not want to do anything at all. You may want to paint right over it. I want to thank you so much for watching. And if you have any questions at all, don't hesitate to leave a comment below and I'll answer it. I hope you all have a wonderful day and thank you so much for watching.